so many people give back day in and day out. I always tell everybody, never look up to people, you know, rock stars or politicians or NBA players, NFL players. Look up to the neighbor that lives next door. Not living such an ordinary life, but that leads by example, that goes out every day, works their job, comes home, and they find time to volunteer. How many times have you laid around and you go, wow, I really got to mow that lawn, or I got to fix that fence, or I always had that project that I really wanted to fix. They do that, and then they go out and help someone else, help their neighbor with a fence, help their neighbor shovel their driveway, help their neighbor mow their lawn. You can volunteer in so many different ways, but the 6 today, we're going to really have stand out above and beyond. But some of the statistics I want to share with you. The U.S. Department of Labor tracks volunteers from September of each year to September. And between 2014 and 2015, roughly 62.6 million people volunteered through organizations. That says a lot. You think about it, there's 330 million Americans in this country, and 62 million volunteer and give back. It's an honor to really recognize people in our community that do extraordinary things. And when we came up with this program in partnership with the legislature, it was really something that we wanted to highlight, the person in our communities, people that live in our next door.
I am very proud of the accomplishments of all of our recipients here today, and your bios are amazing, and I've even done some work with some of the programs. But I have to single out Sue McManus, who in the 1980s, I said 1985, she said 1989, Sue came to me with a thought that she would like to start a program to help out children and families in our community in Green Island. And the only promise that we made, that I made, was that I would never tell anybody that she was a part of it. She made me promise. I'm sorry, Sue, we broke the promise. But after 20, I said 30, 20 some odd years, over 25 years, the promise has been broken for a reason. Because of your work and because of the work of all our volunteers. The county executive is here to honor all of you for your great accomplishments. So I thank you for that on behalf of the entire county of Albany and the county legislature.
All 6 of you are truly unique individuals. As I said, you have unselfishly given yourself to our community, from volunteering with organizations that focus on youth of the capital region like Albany PAL, and those that serve sexual violence survivors on the 24-hour sexual assault hotline. And without you, we couldn't keep a lot of these organizations going. And that's why we want to recognize you, as this is your day. I know some of you don't like it, like the pats on the back. You didn't do it for that, but the people around you who have nominated you definitely see that you have stood out within your community, and that's why we're here today, and you're here being honored.
She's there for everything. We've done an Eliminate concert. We raised money to do away with childhood diseases in other countries. We do a winter ball dance, and we've donated up to $5,000 to Camp Kiwanis for underprivileged kids. We collect yams for Equinox, hundreds of cans of yams every year. We do work for Alzheimer's, UNICEF, Thirst Project we did with Shenendahowa School. That raised money to put wells in Africa in different communities. And now that's just the school community work she does. She also does work at Albany Memorial Hospital, Albany Medical Center, where she advocates for patients there, make sure they have things they need, how can she help them or serve them. Served on the Colony Youth Court. She served on an adolescent development project, which made cards for Albany's Medical Center children that are there for periods of time. And aside from all that, and I could go on the different things she's done, I think the main reason that I wanted to nominate her is she's just a wonderful person all around.
It's an honor to be receiving this award alongside these 5 other incredible people. And I would just like to say that I'm so proud to be a part of Albany County, where people value volunteer work as much as I do. One of my favorite quotes is by Mark Twain, and it's that kindness is a language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see. And community service is truly a form of kindness that people from all aspects of life appreciate, as it betters our society.
We got a couple things for you. I want to present you with this. A little president here for you.
The reason that I personally wanted to nominate Claire for this position is because she has become kind of my right hand during the Adopt-A-Wish campaign. She is the kind of volunteer that when you talk to her on the phone, she says, now remember, if someone doesn't show up for a shift, or if you don't have someone, you call me. I live just down the road. She's the kind of volunteer that even when everybody else calls and says the roads are too bad, I'm not going to make it, she still shows up. And she's the kind of volunteer that if she needs to stay an extra hour because someone is running late, she'll do that. And that's amazing to me because she so believes in the mission of Make-A-Wish and the need to raise these funds to make sure that every eligible child has that wish granted.
As Kirsten told you, this is definitely a labor of love for me. And as she said, my grandson was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and it was devastating to his mom, to me, to the family. But we got through it. It was tough. 2.5 years at Albany Med. Every Thursday, my daughter and I traipsed down with Josh. She was there naturally to support him. I was there to make sure the doctors did everything right. They never would have gotten by without that. But nevertheless, I thank God that he did get through it all, and I am so grateful. And I did make a promise to myself that, please, dear God, when Josh is through all this, I would pay back the best way I could. And I got started with Make-A-Wish. And to me, it's a labor of love. And thank you so very much.
We have a proclamation from the Albany County Legislature and a proclamation for me.
How nice. Thank you so much.
For the county executive.
Cindy isn't just another volunteer. She's a dynamic, energetic leader who has a sense of duty and passion for all of our children. Cindy also has this uncanny ability to make you want to volunteer more, give more of your own time. Best example I can give you is earlier this year, Bethlehem Opportunities Unlimited, BOU, was having their annual fundraiser to raise money for grants to give to help students form new organizations, new groups. And as we were preparing for the auction, we were in her dining room, about 4 of us, and there was about 40 raffle baskets that had to be assembled. Her entire first floor of her house was covered. And as we're sitting there and people are saying, I don't know if I have time to come, we're working, and all of a sudden, Cindy goes up and tells us, oh, by the way, earlier this year I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I sat there and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, and you're doing this? And she's like, it's too important not to do this. This has to get done. I mean, when you have someone around you who is that committed to doing it, to doing what's right and putting together something like that, when she's facing her own crisis, when she has 2 beautiful young daughters, in her family and her husband, I mean, it makes you want to do more. And those are the kind of people our communities need.
It's not really so much about getting the recognition personally, but more about sharing the message and getting more awareness for our own not-for-profit or other volunteer group that we're involved with. So forget about the Cindy Ferrari, but remember Bethlehem Opportunities Unlimited. So thank you, David, for being a really good role model for helping us get the word out about Bethlehem Opportunities Unlimited. I also want to thank the County Executive's Office for seeing the importance of volunteerism and helping to increase awareness of causes important to each of the recipients. Of course, I need to thank my family because sometimes I'm not home because I'm at a meeting or I'm covering our first floor with raffle baskets and tissue paper and raffia and what have you. They've been incredibly flexible with me and allowed me the time I need to be involved with causes that matter to me. Thank you.
For 27 plus years, with the help of the Green Island School District and the Village of Green Island, Susan has made several children smile and feel warm throughout the holiday season. When the program first started, Mrs. McManus and her trusty confidants worked out of the closet in her first grade classroom. The initial goal was to provide winter clothing and jackets to those children that came to school either dressed inappropriately for the winter months or just didn't have a jacket at all. Over the years, the program has grown tremendously. This past Christmas, our program provided warm clothing, jackets, boots, toys, you name it, to over 60 children. The high school students are never left without. High school students received a $100 gift card because although they are equally as important, it's possible to shop for a high schooler. Mrs. McManus is now officially retired from Heatley School, but still spearheads the program. Mrs. McManus grew out of her original workshop in her classroom and now operates out of one of the village's municipal buildings. From day one, Mrs. McManus's wish was rename Anonymous.
Thank you words. It caused me to reflect back on the 27 years that I've worked to coordinate the Green Island Christmas program and the reasons for its continued growth and success. Very few things in life are entirely done by just one person. And I share this award with the Village of Green Island and Heatley School, who have made it their joint effort to quietly, until now, provide warm winter clothing and toys for over 60 children during each holiday season. This award belongs to the volunteers who shop, wrap, and tag hundreds and hundreds of gifts. It belongs to our generous donors, most of whom wish to remain anonymous. It belongs to the dedicated volunteers who deliver the gifts.
Albany County Legislator Andrew Joyce is away on Army National Guard duty this week and has asked me to say a few words on his behalf. It was a real pleasure nominating Dave Rose for this important distinction here in Albany County. One of the best things we can do as local elected officials is to promote the people in our communities who, with little fanfare, make a real difference in people's lives. Whether it be youth athletics or in his own neighborhood as a Democratic committeeman, Dave Rose sets an example for everyone to follow. The word hero gets thrown around a lot these days. Young people in our community are our future's most precious resource. Dave Rose gave countless hours of his life cultivating that future, that precious resource, on all our behalf. Dave Rose is a real hero. With a knowing grin and a mind like a steel trap, he's been sitting here with that grin since I got up here. He's taught me how to be a better representative. Like the countless number of Albany kids he's mentored and coached over the past 2 decades, he has not let me get away with being less than he knows I can be. I deeply regret not being here today to help bestow this well-deserved honor to not only Dave, but his family. So with that said, on a personal note, I've known Dave for probably 30 years, since we were stocking shelves in Albany Public Market in the, we'll just say the 80s. We'll just leave it at that, right? And I know what he's done. I know him, and there's a couple others in here that he hangs around with. You got Lenny Recruity out there. You got his wife, Sherry, the lovely voice of the Holiday Lights. And the two of them, it's a family thing. They put a lot of hours in making our community a better place.
Growing up in the Delaware Ave neighborhood, families constantly participated in their kids' lives. When I was young, going to Huffman Park, Whitehall Little League, Albany Pop Warner, you always see the same families, the familiar faces: Farrells, the Townsends, the McCoys, Foleys, Harrells, and DeVitas. Once I had children of our own, my wife Sherry and I, and we joined Whitehall Little League, the same families were still there volunteering. Generations together. It's what we do. It's how we were raised in our neighborhood. When I became president of Whitehall Little League, my friend Lenny asked me to join the district as an administrator, and there I learned a whole new level of volunteerism. He later asked me to join the board of directors for the Albany Police Athletic League, where I've been proud to serve with him for over 15 years. I'd like to thank Lenny for showing me as an adult how one person can affect the lives of young people, even when you aren't sure that they are listening, but they are. Thank you to my family and friends that are here to help me accept this honor today. I appreciate it.
Valerie Wasilewski has been an active part of our volunteer team since November 2014, serving as a sexual assault hotline advocate on our 24-hour hotline. In this role, Valerie is on call, ready at a moment's notice to talk to a survivor of sexual violence over the phone or in one of our 3 local hospitals. We are constantly amazed at the work of our volunteers who donate their time and efforts beyond work, families, school, and their other commitments, and Valerie is no exception. While volunteering with us, Valerie also works at a local community agency. She is truly selfless, donating over 500 hours of on-call time since her start with us and constantly demonstrating her dedication to making the world a better place. She's not only a fierce advocate for survivors of sexual violence, but also a team player. She has volunteered to speak with incoming volunteers about her experiences, is always the first to show up at volunteer gatherings, and is currently transitioning to a volunteer leadership role where we are sure she will exceed and inspire.
Albany Crime Victim and Sexual Assault Center is amazing in all the things that they do for people. And when I first interviewed for the position of volunteer, they're like, "This is, hard work. Why do you want to do this?" And I, as a person, cannot bear to see somebody suffer alone. And I will continue to do this to ensure that nobody has to go through a situation like that by themselves. Thank you so much to Caitlin for nominating me, for everybody here. This is amazing and overwhelming. Thank you so much.